We truly live in a culture of death, and it's getting worse, all right? And we go, well, what does that mean? Well, you know, is it just about abortion? No, really, it's not. It's about our spiritual death. It's about those of us who have been so overwhelmed by the circumstances of our life that we can't see the forest for the trees. And we're looking for answers, but we don't know where to look. And we're looking for healing, but we don't know the wounds. And these wounds are soul wounds. They're deep, deep, deep in your spirit. But once you can recognize them, then you can get help. It's like going to the doctor because you have an ache somewhere. You don't know what that ache is. You know, if it's an internal into the center core of your body, you know, is it your heart, is it your spleen, is it your liver, is it a hernia? You just know it hurts. And so I paint that image for you because I hope it will be a helpful image as we go through this time. Now, as we begin, I want to start with a quotation from D.H. Lawrence, and it's entitled Healing. I am not a mechanism, an assembly of various sections, and it's not because the mechanism is working wrongly that I am ill. I am ill because of wounds to the soul, to the deep emotional self, and the wound to the soul takes a long, long time. Only time can help, and patience, and a certain difficult repentance. Long, difficult repentance, realization of life's mistakes, and the freeing of oneself from the endless repetition of the mistake, which mankind at large has chosen to sanctify. And that's the place we live at this time. How many of you are born after 1960? Okay, take a look, people. You're the generation. And I start by jumping off the work of two sociologists by the name of Howe and Strauss. And Howe and Strauss have written a number of books about generational characteristics. And they wrote one called 13th Gen, Abort, Ignore, Retry, Fail. And it's about your generation. And he talked about the fact that Gen X and the cusp, remember there are cusp into Y here. Gen X is defined as roughly 1961 to 81 in birth order, birth time, and Gen Y 82 to 2002. Now those are theirs. Other people use slightly different ones. But they really felt that the people who were born in that 61 to 81 contingent were some of the most unlucky people in the world because there were so many changes that so deeply affected us. And so I jumped off their material. I got interested in this. My husband had done a talk on it for some seminary rectors. And he came home and, you know, what are you talking about, dear? So he told me, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Those are the people I'm working with in terms of people who've had abortions. And so that's what led me to this whole talk. And so I want to walk through some of the major issues and maybe say a little about each one of them and how they might pertain to your life. I mean, we've got limited time. This really is a longer talk. In terms of this, but hopefully the major points here will strike you and you'll come away with a new sense of what's gone on.